Wonderful. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Your Excellencies, that concludes the first part of our program this afternoon. The second part will be, I will hand over to the spokesperson of the President, Mr. Vincent Bugwenya.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Your Excellencies, President Ramaphosa, President Costa, President van der Leyen, we will now commence with the last installment of today's proceedings, which is a media briefing. We'll invite President Ramaphosa to kick off with his remarks. Thereafter, Mr. President, you'll hand over to President van der Leyen, who will in turn hand over to President Costa. Mr. President, thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Vincent. Your Excellencies, Ursula and Antonio, it's a real pleasure to have you here, and I also have to extend my greetings to the members of the European Union and the South African delegations made up of our ministers and deputy ministers and officials. It has indeed been a real honor to jointly preside over the South Africa-EU leaders trilateral meeting. Today we have an opportunity to take stock of the progress that we have made, and particularly over just this past year, but also take stock in the overall relationship between South Africa and the European Union. We've characterized this relationship as a mature relationship, a relationship that is predictable, that is reliable, and that is based on trust. And we are very pleased as South Africa to have a partner like the EU, and where we are able to discuss a variety of matters. Just this year alone, President van der Leyen was saying that we have met just this year 4 times. We met in Cape Town, and then we met at the at the United Nations. Then we met in Brussels, and we're meeting today. And all those meetings that we have held have been very productive. They have now produced the agreement that we have seen signing here. There are quite a number of other issues on which we are discussing that are in the pipeline, and these are matters of great importance to the two partners in this relationship. We have prioritized the transition to green energy, ensuring that this process is just and inclusive, but more importantly, also safeguards the livelihoods of those who are most affected by the transition. We also have agreed on cooperation in the areas of critical minerals and support for green infrastructure, local vaccine production, and the pharmaceutical value chain. Now, all these are very important, not only to us as South Africa, but also to the EU. We have now successfully finalized a clean trade and investment partnership. This is a really unprecedented agreement for us, but the more other exciting one is the Memorandum of Understanding on Critical Minerals. It is actually quite instructive that it has been signed by Minister Mantashe, who is the Minister of Mineral Resources and Petroleum. Now, as he sat there, I was looking at him like 40 years ago when I knew him. He was a mine worker, worked on the mines underground, digging up all those minerals. And he became the leader of the trade union of those mine workers that he was part of. And now he's a minister signing an agreement on critical minerals. Now, this is history-making, absolutely history-making. Now, you may recall Nelson Mandela in his book when he said, we want to create a country where the son of a shepherd, cattle shepherd, can rise to become president of a country. He was talking about himself. Now, today we witness how a mine worker who worked underground in a mine today can sign an agreement with Europe, with the European Union, on critical minerals. But the substance of that agreement is what is important. It is important to note that we are signing an unprecedented agreement. We've never really fully signed such an agreement where two partners agree that we are no longer going to rely on extracting minerals only. We will want to extract those minerals, have them processed at the point of extraction, add value to those minerals so that South Africa begins to move up the value chain of beneficiation. That is the unprecedented nature of this agreement. These two agreements will strengthen our trade and investment ties. They will provide a platform for regulatory cooperation and identification of strategic projects, especially in green hydrogen, clean technology, and the critical raw materials. In October, I visited Brussels to attend the Global Gateway Forum at the invitation of President van der Leyen. It was my very first time at the EU offices. They have these massive offices that I had never seen before. I was so impressed, and I was tempted. If I was a thief, I would have wanted to steal that building and bring it to South Africa. At that forum, President van der Leyen announced an increase in the value of the EU Global Gateway investment package for South Africa, so that it now totals closer to 12 billion euros. The package includes support for just component of our energy transition through the reskilling and job creation, as well as support for connectivity and digital infrastructure. We successfully launched a bilateral energy dialogue in September, which will support our just energy transition. It will include other collaborative opportunities, such as the export of sustainable aviation fuel by Sasol and the development of clean coal technologies. Now, all these are still in the pipeline of negotiations, and I have no doubt that just as we have reached agreement on other areas, we will be able to reach agreement here as well, including agreements that we will reach on citrus and a number of other areas. We've also agreed on the development of the auto industry in South Africa through local manufacturing of electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, and e-batteries for export to the European market. We agreed to stand together in defense of democracy, in defense of multilateralism, human rights, and the rule of law. We reaffirmed our commitment to the central role of the United Nations and maintaining global peace and security. And these are matters that we've been discussing over time and reaching the meeting of minds and consensus. And this goes to show and demonstrate the maturity of the relationship and the depth of the relationship as well. We agreed to strengthen our dialogue, yes, on peace and security, and we are encouraged by the EU support of South Africa's G20 presidency, which has been evidenced by the participation of EU member countries in the G20 engagements over the past year. President van der Leyen and President Costa, we found the EU countries' participation in the G20 very, very positive, very supportive, and always looking for ways to reach agreement and find solutions. So we salute your officials, and we want to thank you for the way in which they have supported South Africa in its G20 presidency. I look forward to Thank you for that. That was nice. I look forward to attending the EU-Africa Summit in Angola, which will start on Monday. I'm sorry that we're going to put you to a great deal of work and travel, but it is the work that we have to do. We will use the opportunity to advance the AU's Agenda 2063 in Angola and the EU's Global Gateway Strategy in support of sustainable development across Africa. Now, on behalf of the government of the Republic of South Africa and the people of South Africa, it has been a pleasure to have both of you here today prior to the holding of the Leaders' Summit on Saturday. This meeting affirms our commitment to continue building a mutually beneficially strong relationship between the European Union and South Africa. So we thank you and welcome to South Africa, and I hope your stay is a pleasant one. Thank you very much. I hand over to you now.
Thank you very much, President Ramaphosa, dear Cyril. Thank you for your